Hey there, welcome back to another episode of The Clarity Container. My name is Omika. I'm your host, and I am deeply appreciative of the time and energy that you spend with me today. I know you could be doing a million other things right now, so I'm going to keep this, as always, brief, actionable, and respectful of your time. Today, I want to chat about validation and safety. So, I've been thinking a lot about this, especially in the context of a few different things. The first is social media. So, if you've been struggling with your relationship to social media, whether it's because you're posting or you're consuming information, this will be really relevant for you. Or if you have tendencies to people please, which I have a lot of thoughts on, this will also be incredibly relevant for you. So, I've been thinking about validation because, as many of you know, I have been active on social media as a creator for over 5 years now. And I have seen how being on social media can create feelings of inadequacy, can make you question your own self worth, and can make you mold yourself in ways to get other people's approval and attention. And so I've been thinking a lot about where this comes from. And I think traditionally, we're told, well, why do you care about what people think? Like, why are you not just confident in yourself? Why do you care if people are watching? Or why do you care if people approve of your choices? And I've also dealt with this a lot growing up as an Indian American and growing up with immigrant parents, where a lot of my early life decisions were about making my parents happy and getting their approval or validation. And I think we don't talk about the depth behind it. We talk about validation as an inherently negative thing, right? It's like, well, if you are confident, if you are sure of yourself, then you shouldn't need validation because you already feel good in yourself. And if you're seeking validation, it must mean that you hate yourself or that you are insecure. And for some reason, that has not sit right with me because I don't think that's the end of the story. I think that when we're craving validation, we're actually craving something a lot deeper. Again, we frame validation as a bad thing. It must mean that you are insecure, unhappy. It must mean that you're a pick me, all of those things. And again, I don't think that's true. So hear me out. Validation, to me, feels like just another way that we seek safety. And when we think about our human evolution, we have evolved in communities, among other people, in tribes. And if you were a human many, many years ago, the only way you could survive was to get the approval of other people. So that might have looked like when you were a hunter gatherer, it might have looked like being a part of a tribe, being a leader, being an integral member of the tribe, because everything you were doing was collective. Your resources were collective. When you were hunting and gathering, you weren't just hoarding for yourself, you were sharing that with your community and your tribe. Heck, even something like marriage was done for survival because the reason really to get married was obviously to reproduce and get your kids out into the world. But also it's because it provided a social safety net, both financially, but also community-wise, because when you get married, you get a whole new family, and then the person that you marry gets your whole family. So it's kind of creating this expansion of your community, of your tribe. And so humans have absolutely evolved to be community creatures. And we know that that is not up for debate. It is very clear. So in the past, you may have wanted validation from your community and your tribe because if you didn't get that validation, you would have been ostracized. You might not have been fed. You might not have been given shelter. And our brains, unfortunately, have not evolved at the speed at which our society has evolved. So just because society is a little bit more individualistic now, where we live in silos, yes, we absolutely need each other. I mean, of course, I believe in that. But on a very material level, like you can go your whole life without talking to anyone or sharing resources with anyone or getting resources from anyone. I mean, that's a stretch. And like, I don't think any of us are doing that, but it is possible to do that in this day and age, just given our technological and industrial advances. So in the past, you needed to get that validation in order to feel safe. And I have seen the same thing happen with social media or with modern day people pleasing. I want you to ask yourself, when you are posting on social media, is it because you're craving validation, or when you're looking at, who liked my post, who commented on it, you are actually not looking for validation. What you're looking for is this affirmation that you are allowed to exist, to be seen, to express yourself, and that you matter. So again, validation gets a bad rep, but it's less about validation and more about the safety that you're seeking. Validation is just a tool to make yourself feel seen and safe, accepted, and connected. And inherently, do I think those are bad things? No, I think we are social creatures and we want social affirmations. And at the same time, it gets dangerous when we place all of our sense of safety in these external measures and are not able to create safety within ourselves. So that's what I've been noodling on a lot, is to what extent is that desire to connect helping me versus hurting me and moving me away from those inherent feelings of safety that I can and should create for myself. So again, the point here is that validation is not inherently bad. It is likely that you're using it as a tool to find safety. And I want to bring it back to the parent thing, right? So I remember growing up in my Indian American household as a child of immigrants, where I absolutely did want validation from my parents, and I probably still do subconsciously in many ways want that. And that's not a bad thing, because when you're a kid, you look to your parents, to your caregivers, to your guardians as your source of safety, shelter, food, all those things. So it's normal to want to do that, to want to people please, and to want to seek validation from those sources of your survival. Now, when that gets unhealthy is when you are no longer relying on those people or those things for survival, and you're still seeking validation because deep down inside, you feel empty. You feel unseen. You feel unworthy of love, both from them and from yourself and from everybody else. You're attracting all these emotionally unavailable partners because you have not created that sense of safety within yourself. So I think I've made my point clear here. The next time you are on social media or you're engaging in people-pleasing behaviors, really ask yourself, what is it that I'm looking for here? And to what extent is that helping me versus hurting me? And I think that'll reveal a lot of answers for you. Validation is not inherently bad. Seeking safety is not inherently bad either. But when you take either to an extreme, you're disconnecting from yourself. So I now want to talk about what it means to build safety within yourself. And this is a conversation that could take, hours and hours and years and days and months, because there's so much to it. And it's not something that I'm going to solve for you overnight. I just want to plant a few seeds in your mind so that you can start thinking about what it means to feel safe within yourself. So the first thing, and again, going back to the idea of us being parts of communities and parts of tribes, I think what's really interesting is nowadays you hear about safety from a lot of people who are well-meaning, and they're saying, well, you just need to regulate your nervous system. You just need to feel safe within your body and be trauma informed and whatever other buzzwords people use. And I think what people miss is the fact that you need community, and you need in-person community where you feel safe. Doesn't necessarily have to be in person, but it has to be community where you feel safe, a community that is not transactional, a community where you feel fully seen, heard, loved, appreciated, and connected. Because when I think about what safety means, that's what it means to me. For a long time, just given my upbringing, safety to me meant survival. It meant taking care of myself, having my basic needs met. And now that I'm in a place that I'm very thankful for, that I can really focus on more positive emotions, to me, safety now means living my full human expression and being loved for who I am. Okay. And I really want to make that so clear because, yes, you can give that to yourself. And it's also beautiful when you allow other people to give that to you, when you allow other people to hold that space for you to be fully you. So, yes, you can find safety within yourself, but first and foremost, especially if you're having trouble seeking that validation and the positive reinforcement on social media, I need you to identify who your people are. This has been game changing for me over the past 5 years, where I now know there are several people in my life that I can count on that do not give a shit, frankly, about how many followers I have, what I do on the outside, my accomplishments. They love me for who I am, for my mindset, for what I bring to that friendship, just my energy and my vibe. And to me, that is so priceless in this world where everything feels so transactional. So, number one, build safety through community. Can't emphasize that enough. Second is building safety through self-trust. And this is where the self comes in. Absolutely. I think it's very important. Your relationship to self is the longest relationship you're ever going to have. So might as well get it right. And self-trust for me has been about keeping the promises that I make to myself. For me, the biggest example of that was when I went on my fitness journey. I started it in mid 2023, and I started it when I was actually in a very dark place. I felt like I had completely lost touch with who I was, what I believed in, and who I could really count on. I had been online for a few years, and I just felt like I don't know who I am anymore because I feel like I'm molding myself to be someone I'm not, just to be liked by other people. And I couldn't deal with that anymore. I was like, I don't know. I feel like my thoughts, my feelings, my actions are not aligning. And that was so scary because it was like, am I allowing other people to tell me who I am? Am I allowing other people to make judgments about my character and my values? Because here's the thing, some people are going to like that character and values, and some people aren't. And what's really scary is when you haven't figured that out for yourself, you let other people dictate who you are. And that was terrifying. So I decided that the most tangible way to do it was to go on this fitness journey, start working with the trainer, and get my habits in order. Like, frankly, it was not even, more complicated than that. Obviously, I wanted to be healthy, but I really wanted to get my habits in order and make sure that the promises that I make to myself are promises that I keep. And that was game changing. So build self-trust. Keep the promises that you make to yourself. It sounds so simple, and it's so hard. The third thing I will say about building safety is creating boundaries. Creating boundaries around your consumption and where you're looking for that safety. Especially, I beg you, if you are someone who is posting online anything, maybe maybe you are a creator, maybe you're not. If you are posting something online and waiting for people to applaud you or tell you that what you're doing is great and okay and it's wonderful, you need to stop. Like, I don't know what else to say other than you cannot let other people dictate your feelings of safety. You can use it as data for, building a community and solving other people's problems. But if you are relying on the internet to make you feel safe, please, I beg you, be careful. Because that safety that you are going to find on the internet is fleeting. In one moment, someone might agree with you and applaud you, and in the next moment, you're going to share something that they don't like, that they do not approve of, and you're going to lose it because you are basing your sense of safety and your reason for existing on that external validation. So again, to recap, how do we address seeking validation, seeking safety, building that safety within ourselves. The first is building your community, knowing rock solid who your people are, who's going to be there for you when you fall, when you are not at your best, when you are going through some tough times, and when you just need a place to rest and crash and be yourself. Who are those people? Number two, build self-trust. Keep those promises that you make to yourself. And third, have ironclad boundaries around where you seek your safety from, especially if it's on social media. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope this was helpful for you. I have been thinking about this idea of safety for so long because I think it really does impact how we approach the world around us and how we relate to the people around us through parasocial relationships and real relationships and ourselves. And I have so much more to share on this. So, again, if anything felt resonant to you, I would so appreciate you sharing this with a friend, somebody who might benefit from this perspective. I also would encourage you to hit subscribe, to leave a rating, leave a comment, and please reach out to me with what resonated for you because I do this for you. Like, this is truly just my thing that I do for fun out of love and connection and wanting to share insights that are hopefully helpful to someone else besides just me. So, thank you so much again for tuning in. I will catch you next time. Thank you, and I wish you have a great rest of your day.